Well, hello friends, we are live and it is spring in Oklahoma. Actually, I'm in Texas, about to drive over the Red River into Oklahoma and on my way to see the family in Tulsa. So I want to do a Facebook Live today, and I'm talking about, the world. A lot of people in the world are scrambling. A lot of things are changing. We just had the biggest nosedive in the history of the stock market since 1987, Black Monday. I remember that day well. Ronald Reagan was president. So as I'm looking at opportunity, I like to use the word opportunity. Some people see opportunity, some people see famine. And there was a prophecy in the Old Testament where there were two beggars at the gate, and the prophet said, "This day tomorrow we'll be feasting." And it was true, it happened. They were about to die. I think they had enough strength to live one. Check it out, there's Oklahoma right there. Boom, they got a new sign. Oklahoma's got a new sign. Welcome to Oklahoma. So, born and raised in Oklahoma, driving safe, hands-free. But I'm encouraging my friends to have a content creation strategy. The prophet, I don't remember what year city king was in power or which prophet it was, but he said, tomorrow we're going to feast in the city. They were locked outside the city, and it looked like all hope was gone. Certainly they were all going to starve. They were on their last. The body was in the starvation stage, and they weren't going to live much longer. But sure enough, just as the prophet had said, the next day it was a feast. The enemy was defeated, and they were living. They went from famine to feast in one day. And opportunity and abundance are a matter of perspective. I read recently that there's enough resources in the earth for every man, woman, boy, and girl to have $14 million. Think about that. There's 8 billion people on the planet, and yet there's enough resources in the dirt. There's enough resources in Africa. There's enough. You can go to the most desolate desert of sand where it just looks totally desolate. There aren't any trees, there aren't any vegetation, and below that land is petroleum. And there's billions and billions and even trillions of dollars in that. Hey Chris, how you doing? It says recording because low network connection. We just crossed from Texas into Oklahoma. But I'm encouraging my friends to think about, seriously consider a content creation strategy that includes Facebook Live videos. And I'll tell you why. It's important to realize that in times of change like this, opportunity is always there. It's just time to create a new pathway to that opportunity. I can remember, Oklahoma's known for tornadoes, and there was a huge tornado at my house when we were 11. We lived out in the country on 30 acres. We had a beef farm where we raised cattle, and that was a hobby for Dad and work for my brother and I. We tried to help out. We thought we were helping out. But a lot of fun growing up on the farm. But we left one day to go to Wagner, Oklahoma to see the family. And we came back and we knew there were storms. We knew, listening on the radio, that there were tornadoes everywhere. And sure enough, we came back and there were 27 trees down. We couldn't get to our house because there were trees in the road. Trees down, poplar trees, oak trees, every type of tree. 27 trees were down. And in the driveway and in the road on either side of our house. It took a while to, break out the chainsaws and work our way back to normalcy. But the point of that is sometimes you have to build a new road, a new supply route. One of the first things you do when you go to war is you make it a war of logistics. You evaluate where you're at. You build new supply chains. And you just start making it happen. There's always opportunity, and the opportunity is right here. And there is so much income in a relationship where you make a referral. Imagine that. Somebody is going to get a business idea during this time of coronavirus. They're going to launch $1 billion industry, and you're going to be the one to make the introduction to the angel investor, to the VC, to the accredited venture fund capital investor that says, I like that idea. Let's do that. And so one of the best ways to create new content is to jump on a Facebook Live. A lot of people thought when bookstores went out of business that book sales died, but actually readership is up globally, and the point of that is the internet created these new distribution channels where we could transfer knowledge from one place to the other. And the future, and I got to tell you, there were a lot of pastors, there were a lot of churches, there were a lot of houses of worships that were scrambling in the U.S. this last week when the ban on gathering, even though we have in the U.S., it's our constitutional Bill of Rights, freedom of assembly, and we're used to that. And in many countries of the world, you can assemble freely, but the coronavirus has got people stuck at home, stuck in their houses, and we miss companionship, friendship, relationship, connection, gathering together to worship. And I tell you what, a lot of churches were scrambling because they were behind the curve. I noticed there was actually a pastor doing a YouTube webinar on how to live stream, the basics of I think he called it Live Stream 101. So I want you to think about content as 4 food groups. Think about content as protein, as fruits and vegetables, as bread that gives you energy. Rick, think about, good to see you, buddy. Good to see Asia on the line here from Asia. Think about your content that you're pushing out. Maybe you're not even in sales. Maybe you're a consultant. Maybe you're a CFO and you're a money person. Maybe you're a bookkeeper and a bean counter. Why would it be important to go online and do a Facebook Live? Maybe you're the type that on social media you kind of lurk. You don't really even like a lot of posts. You enjoy reading. You enjoy watching what's happening online with people's lives, but you're not one to really comment. I want to ask you, why not? I want to ask you, if you're called to have influence and even make an impact in your children's life or your grandchildren's life or a future generation, being a mentor to somebody that could use you. My mom, she's retired now. She's getting closer to 70. But even after she retired, she spent a lot of years being a big sister. As a mentor and a big sister, being a positive role model and impact in a young girl's life, it's a big thing. It's exciting. And social media is one way in this time that we're locked in our houses. What do you think? Do you think it's going to get easier and get better? Do you think it's going to get worse? Do you think that your country, your state where you live in your city, are they going to enforce curfews? I know in Texas, Thursday night, they decided no more restaurants and bars would be open, and you can only do carry-out food. You can only do drive-through. And I don't eat out a lot. I personally, when I'm at home, I cook at home. I try to cook healthy. It's important to stay healthy, take care of our bodies, right? But it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. But I think the bottom line of what I want to say today is I'm committed over the next 90 days to do 90, short or long, unprepared, unplanned, unscripted, whatever's on my heart at the moment. Feel free to chime in, say hi, let me know what you're up to, ask a question, let me know what's on your mind. I don't want to make it a monologue. I want to make it a dialogue, a conversation. I think that the millionaires and billionaires of the future are the ones that proactively reach out and connect right now. I think it's very important to build relationships. Yeah, I hear Florida's locking down too. Hi, Diana. So I think it's really important to build relationships. Right after the Great Depression, a lot of the millionaires, America's first millionaires, started happening right after the Great Depression. Two observations about that. One is right now, people like Warren Buffett, they're not shrinking in fear, they're buying companies. money is attracted to people that know how to manage it and channel it properly. And Andrew Carnegie bought up the land on either side of the railroad. He was smart because he saw the future of commerce. And the future of commerce now is not physical real estate. A lot of my friends, a lot of people are in real estate as an investor or buying up commercial, investing, all that's great. But the real estate that has the most value and the lowest risk is international commerce and intellectual property. There's new trade routes that are being forged. If you look at the history of every great nation and you look at the history of economies of scale globally, commerce happened around transportation. It was on the waterways first, the trade routes, the Middle East. You look at all that when we traded sugar, we traded gold, we traded salt, we traded, it was around the waterways, and then it was around the highways, then it was around the railroad, and after the railroad, then the cities sprung up. And what's going to happen after this collapse, and I call it a reset. It's like you reboot your computer. This is a hard reset to reboot the economy, to reboot. I would say stay healthy. I would say be wise financially. I would say be sure your family members are well. Look out for your family members, and just check in on people, because I think the internet, even though it's brought the world together, has isolated a lot of people. I'm actually excited to be driving home right now to visit the family for a few days in Oklahoma. And actually, it's been since Christmas. I haven't seen the kids since Christmas, the grandkids, so I miss everyone. So in a lot of ways, I'm glad that I'm not able to travel right now. I did 160 nights on the road last year, and I'm glad that I can hunker down and be with family, and that's what's most important, right? So I think it's a major reset. Ask yourself the question, particularly if you're in sales, consulting, or own your own business, how can you provide value to your current customer base? I love the ideas of doing surveys. I love the ideas of providing free things for your clients without charging them. I think this is the time to do that. I think the time is to pay it forward, to give a lot of value. We're doing an amazing March Madness for any author that wants to write and publish their book this month. And everything's going online. In fact, I'm going to jump off in a minute. I've got 3 interviews between now and the next 90 minutes, just with groups that I work with. And everybody has moved their meetings online. So very excited about that. And it's a reset. We're going to be fine. Look at opportunities, look at strengthening and creating new supply chains. It's all about the supply chain. He who owns the supply chain owns the world. And the future is around the supply chain. If you could have put stock in the company that built the first transatlantic pipeline under the ocean, and all that fiber optic cable went in, you'd be very wealthy right now. If you would have bought up, like Andrew Carnegie did, the land on either side of the railroad, you would be very wealthy right now. So one thing Sam Walton used to do when he was building his Walmart stores is he would dress in his overalls, get in the airplane, fly over a small town. He didn't grow from big city to big city or go public right away. He grew from rural America, small town to small town, and he would fly in his plane, see which direction the real estate was heading, and he would go buy the land and look like a poor farmer. And then he would build a store and provide value to people and save them money. So what's your unique selling proposition? What's your deliverable? What can you give for value? What can you give away for free? I'm going to give away 30 minutes of my time. Schedule yourself on my calendar. I'll put it in the chat here, meetmichaeld.com, and jump on my calendar, and let's do a talk this week Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about, whatever's on your mind. MeetMichaelD.com. Have a great day, folks. Consider doing the 90-day Facebook Live video challenge, because I think you'll find that at the end of the 90 days, a lot of people that shrunk in fear are going to be struggling for business. And if you provide free content every day for 90 days, I think you could double your income in the midst of this pandemic. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Diana. Yep, there it is. Just click on it and schedule an appointment. Let's talk next week.